Hey everyone, thank you for joining and welcome to Let's Zwift. Today is stage 17 of the 2019 UCI World Terraga Circuit course. It is more difficult than it appears with constant elevation gain and features a 1.2 kilometer climb averaging 5.5%. At the start, our plan is to hang on to the lead group as long as possible. If I can make it to the end, I plan to go for a sprint finish. Today, we are on our Tealtron bike, which balances the climbing of the course and the sprint finish. Right out of the gate, the pace is going to be super high, and we're going to see that this is a theme throughout the day. And at 0.9 kilometers, Caleb Carl is going to go straight to the front, only a minute 30 into the race. He is going to push at a strong 5.5 to 6 watts per kilogram, but you can see the benefit I am gaining from drafting and third wheel, only having to put out 4.5 watts per kilogram. This first straightaway is deceptively hard as it ranges between 2% and 5% gradient and feels like it goes on forever. To this point in the race, I have continually been putting out high watts. I am hoping the pace backs off. Finally, at 240, Carl is going to end his pull after stringing out the peloton, as we will see in a second. However, other strong A riders are just going to take his place and keep the pace high. We can see Harris near the front is pushing over 5 watts per kilogram. The orange banners ahead mark the last bit of the steady gradient. I am thinking that it can't come soon enough. After getting through the orange banners, I get a chance to back it down and try to recover. There's a bit of a downhill section, and then we will pick back up at 3.2 kilometers. Immediately the pace is going to increase again, and you will see I have to put out between 4.5 and 5 watts per kilogram just to maintain positioning. Even with this pace, gaps are starting to open, but I'm not panicking this early into the race. Luckily, the pace backs down a bit and will stay somewhat calm until the first time up the Yorkshire KOM at 7.7 kilometers. I am thinking the pace will be high the first time up, as some A riders will be trying to whittle down the pack. As we pass the KOM start banner, the road immediately kicks up between 6 and 7%, and I push to between 380 and 400 watts to maintain positioning. The pace remains high and my heart rate begins to climb as we fast forward to the last steep part of the climb. Nearing the top of the climb, I'm going to get out of my saddle and make sure I maintain contact with the lead group. I'm holding 6 watts per kilogram with the 182 heart rate. But the riders ahead of me are constantly pushing between 6 and 7 watts per kilogram, and I start to worry. I am able to stay near the front as the gradient begins to back down. In the top right, you will notice how much this pace has hurt the group. In a second, the bottom of the screen will highlight how hard I had to push on this climb. It's only red numbers. Summiting the climb, I am going to get a chance to cool off and recover as we go downhill. Now we will skip ahead to 12.3 kilometers where the full gas day continues. Coming out of this upcoming bend, we will see the rider in the white on the right make a big attack. He is going to open up a decent gap, and the peloton is going to respond by upping the tempo. And I'm pushing around 5 watts per kilogram just to sit in. The attacker keeps his gap as we fast forward, but with it being a solo rider and 28k to go, our group is likely to pull him back. Once we reach this punchy 10% kicker, the gap closes, and the peloton kicks hard, just pushing over 6 watts per kilogram. Osbe is right by me, but I'm beginning to fall backwards in the group. A bit of a gap opens in front of me, and I get super concerned. I push over 400 watts as I know I can't completely lose the draft or my day will be over. My heart rate is still decent at 170 beats per minute. I just got caught out a bit in this move. This final kick gets me just to the back of the lead group here, as we come through the orange banner. Through this portion, the solo attacker is able to remain off the front, and he is likely pushing quite hard to keep this lead. At 15.3 kilometers, we see another big attack go off the front, and he immediately closes on the leader. 2 riders from the peloton are going to increase the tempo to limit this gap. I am over 5 watts per kilogram, sitting about 5th place in the pack. I am focusing on finding a wheel and getting pulled up to the front. I then have to get out of my saddle just to stay on the wheel of these two. The group continues to keep a strong pace and eventually pulls back the dangerous group up the road. At this point, I'm questioning if I will be able to hang on at the front till the end of the race, and I am just hoping to maintain contact over the next climb. This has been one of the most combative days of the series thus far. Only a lap and a half in, and there have already been at least 4 big attacks. I don't know how these guys find the energy. At 19.7 kilometers, Wandana is going to go on a big attack at 10 watts per kilogram. This is going to cause some panic in the group, and Harris in the green jersey is going to respond and open a gap. He is going to be followed, and 3 strong riders are trying to get away now. I realize the danger and start to up the watts and try to sit in third wheel. 2 ended up getting clear, and the remaining group is going to keep the pace high. This won't be the last of the attacks. Diddy makes a big move followed by another rider putting 4 off the front. Again, the group tries to respond, and I try to catch a wheel at 4.5 watts per kilogram, and this group is going to rejoin quickly. I'm surprised by how combative riders are with the Yorkshire KOM just on the horizon. We passed the KOM start line here at 21.5 kilometers. I'm hoping I can hang on and try to keep at a strong tempo as it kicks to nearly 10%. This is a small select group left, and everyone will be pushing up the watts. I'm having to push over 400 watts, just above 6 watts per kilogram, to be near the top 10. Luckily, I know there is some reprieve coming up with a flatter section. However, there is still a gap to the 2 riders off the front. Approaching the top, I am hurting at 180 heart rate. As it begins to kick again, Osby and 3 other riders push hard, and I'm going to kick out of the saddle to just try and hold on. This kick brings back the 2 leaders. At the very top, I feel like I have accomplished my goal of staying in the front till the end, but it's been full gas. At 184 heart rate, and in a second at the bottom, you're going to see a bar chart highlighting how much red I've had to push just to maintain the pace. On the downhill, I try and recover and hope the group does the same until the final climb. But at 28.5 kilometers, Zwan and Harris are going to put in a big dig above 5 watts per kilogram. Gordon in the yellow kit on the left is going to follow, and they will form a strong group of 3 off the front. At this point, nobody is willing to work to pull them back. I don't want to work either, but I'm forced to take a pull near 330 watts on the straightaway with a steady 3 to 4% section. The gap continues to grow but is being managed, as you see the constant yellow in the bar chart at the bottom.
And an attack on the left-hand side.
Carl is going to put in a big attack at 10 watts per kilogram. He might start to worry about the group up the road. He will be followed immediately by another rider, and the peloton ramps up the pace with orange numbers on the right-hand side. I'm pushing over 500 watts nearly at my lead-out pace just to find a wheel.
Immediately jumps onto the wheel.
The upping of the tempo is going to close the gap quickly from about 5 seconds, and we will all rejoin. But I have to kick one more time to get back on. Fortunately, things are going to slow down. The final climb begins now, and I know it's going to be tough. As the rider in the green kit kicks nearly at 7 watts per kilogram, I get out of the saddle to respond. I am able to sit nicely mid-pack for the first half of the climb of 1.2 kilometers. As 500 meters to the KOM banner approaches, my heart rate is high, but I am feeling confident about hanging on the lead group. Still, pushing near 6 watts per kilogram, we can see in the top right mini-map how much damage has been done to the group. I come up to the front of the group as the grade backs down from 7%. At this point, I realize in the mini-map that one rider has snuck off the front. Will we be able to pull him back? As we go downhill, the gap doesn't close. In the top right, the gap still remains at 12 seconds with 3.9 kilometers to go. However, I'm not super concerned as I am not the favorite for today. With second place on the line, I think about my sprint as we come into 700 meters to go. At 700 meters, I kick out of my saddle, still maintaining my watts and with a low heart rate of 158. It's going to kick up to about 9% here. Diddy and Harris kick hard near 12 watts per kilogram. The group follows and gaps start to open. I'm having to push over 700 watts as the road begins to flatten out. but I reduced my watts now to 500 as I don't want to take the front too early. We're all out for the final podium spot. At 300 meters, Zwan goes and is effectively leading out the group.
It's a big sprint flat out.
At 270 meters, I know I have to go hard. I still have a huge drafting benefit and hope to surf through. I push close to 800 watts at 11 watts per kilogram, still behind 6 wheels. With 170 meters, I am coming through the group hard, and I am at 53 kilometers an hour, but will eventually hit 56 kilometers an hour. Can I close the gap and get third place? Have I kicked too late? I'm closing. No, but it will be a photo finish for fourth. Zwift initially awards me fourth, and I'm pumped. But the photo finish is checked, and Barnhorse bumps me down to fifth. Still a solid result for the day.